Hello, my name is Maya. Welcome back to my channel. So today, I remembered something, and this is going to be very similar to the Brandon and Callie video, where I just want to remember something that I experienced in my past. I used to really like Tumblr, and when I was in my peak of my Tumblr usage, it was because of the 100. So as you probably know from the title of this video, I want to look back on the mess that was Bellarke versus Clexa. Because if you know, you know. It was kind of insanity there for a minute. So I'll just go briefly over what the 100 is. So when the 100 was a CW, God, I need to stop talking about CW stuff. You probably think all I watch is CW. It's not true. They just consume my life, I guess. Anyways, it was a CW show about a bunch of teens. The earth is no longer habitable, so these teens who are criminals, I think, there's 100 of them. But I actually think in reality there's 101, if I remember correctly, because someone stuck on board. I can't remember who. It's been a minute. Anyways, so 100 teens get sent down by this spaceship where the humans now live. They live in the Ark is what it's called. They now live in this spaceship above the earth, and they get sent down by the leader of the Ark to see if the earth is hospitable, because they're like, oh, these teenage criminals are completely expendable. So they get down to the earth, and the earth is hospitable. First season is about them kind of trying to survive and make a new society within the earth, and they've kind of lost contact with the Ark, and it's a whole thing. But that's basically the basic premise. And I actually didn't finish the 100. I'm actually going to be honest here. I think I stopped in the middle of season 6. I was a Bellarke gal. I'll get that out of the way. I shipped Bellamy and Clarke. This is coming from a Bellarke gal. And when I realized it was probably not going to happen and I was being baited, I just gave up. The show was so bad and I had no reason to stay. It got really bad in the later seasons. I didn't watch the ending, but from what I know, I don't think they got together. But I might be wrong. Actually, maybe I'll fact check that. Let me Google it. Did Bellamy and Clarke get together? Oh my god. In the book series. Yeah, I read the book series. So they don't get together in the show. They were together in the book series, and I actually did read 2 of the books. In the book series, there's somewhere down there. Mostly because I heard that they were canon, and they get together so quickly in the book. I think it's halfway through the first book they get together. It's like reading fan fiction. The books actually really suck. The TV show in the first few seasons was way better than the book, but then it kind of went off the rails. Okay, so when I was trying to find clips for this video, I stumbled across the clip of the scene where Clarke tells everyone that she killed Bellamy.
He's dead.
Bellamy? Thought he was fine when we left him, a little confused.
I killed him.
I had no idea this had happened. As I said, I stopped watching the show, and I had no idea that the ending of their arc was that Clarke killed Bellamy. So I just wanted to pop in and say that I did discover that, yes. And I'd already filmed this video, so I'm just gonna continue the video as is. I mean, honestly, the ending of Bellamy and Clarke isn't super relevant to what I'm talking about, because I'm talking about Bellarke versus Clexa. But good for you, Clexas, you fucking won. I don't really know the full reason why Clarke had to kill Bellamy. From what I could tell, there was some sort of culty thing going on. I would do the research to figure this out, but honestly, I don't have the time, I don't have the effort, and I don't have the energy. So I don't care too much. All I know is that is a bold way to end this arc. I am not opposed to arcs ending with one person killing another person. It's actually one of my favorite tropes. However, it has to be done correctly. I don't know how it was done per se in the 100, but I kind of have little faith. From what it seems to me, Clarke killed Bellamy to protect Maddie, her adopted kid. And I kind of understand what they were going for there, but I don't really know the full reason why Bellamy had to be killed and why there wouldn't be another option. I could watch those scenes, but you girls don't have the energy for that. My 2 cents is it probably wasn't done very well, but I could be wrong. From the one clip I saw, everyone was just like, yeah, it's okay, Clarke. He wasn't the real Bellamy anymore. So something happened there that I just wasn't aware of. I just wanted to pop in and say that I knew that and that I'm not opposed to tropes like that. However, I also know that Bellamy and Clarke never actually became a romantic couple, and I actually think I would have preferred something along those lines if they actually had become a romantic couple, and then like say they had been like together for a little while, and then Bellamy kind of got corrupted and different, and maybe instead of it being just like his choice to be corrupted, I don't actually know the full story of what happened, but make it so that like it wasn't his choice, like something was implanted in his brain or something like that, and there's literally no other choice but to kill him because, like, I don't know, say he's gonna go on like a murderous rampage or something like that. That would be interesting, and then it would be very actually tragic and upsetting for this person to kill someone that she loves romantically. So if they were going to go in that sense, if that's how they really wanted to end the arc, I don't disagree. I just think that they should have actually made them canon and then had that happen. I think that would have been a really tragic, beautiful, bittersweet type of ending, and I personally really like endings like that. I know probably not a lot of people would agree with me. In fact, maybe the vast majority wouldn't have, but I would have been cool with that, something like that. I just really think that bittersweet is the way to go, and I think something along those lines would have been really interesting to explore as a character beat. It would have been a very interesting ending to their arcs. Throwing that out there, don't actually know the full story of what happened. Not only did they not make it canon, but they had Clarke kill Bellamy. A bold moves were made by the 100. Anyways, back to the video that was filmed a while ago. This show created two interesting ships. One of them was not canon, but baited the entire time. The other one was canon, but one of the characters within the ship died. And the ship was only really canon for, I would maybe say, like 2 episodes. It really wasn't canon that long, if I remember correctly. It was a very short-lived ship. The first being Bellamy and Clarke.
I'm not going in.
If you need forgiveness, I'll give that to you. You're forgiven. Please come inside.
Take care of them for me.
Clarke.
I'm seeing their faces every day. It's just gonna remind me of what I did to get them here.
What we did. You don't have to do this alone.
I bear it so they don't have to.
Where are you gonna go?
I don't know. Maybe we meet again.
So Bellamy and Clarke, we first see them interacting in season 1, episode 1. And they're enemies at first. And you'd think that that would be the plot of enemies to lovers. And you'd think that like in season 3 or 4, when the enemies usually, after, you know, becoming friends, which they do, they go through the process, they would become lovers. It's very easily being set up to us. And the fact that the books did have a canon means that potentially the show wanted it to be canon at first, or it was running towards that direction, because they started off more heavily following the books and then really derailed. They really did start off by setting up Bellamy and Clarke as being enemies to lovers, and that was the ship you were going to root for. And then, if I remember correctly, Lexa came in season 2 or 3, I can't remember. It's been a minute. It was either one of those seasons. And she came in, and she was the leader of one of the grounders, like actual humans who had survived the nuclear apocalypse and lived on the ground, so they were called grounders. And she was one of the princesses or something, like she was a legit leader. And in that season, Clarke, for some reason, was working with her, or they were. It was the same kind of deal. It was like enemies to lovers, I think.
Octavia is a threat. If you weren't so close to her, you'd see that.
It's because I'm close to her that I know she's loyal. Her brother is more important to her than anyone. She would never endanger his life.
And you're willing to risk everything on that? And your feelings?
Yes. You say having feelings makes me weak, but you're weak for hiding from them. I might be a hypocrite, Lexa, but you're a liar. You felt something for Gustus. You're still haunted by Kostya. You want everyone to think you're above it all, but I see right through you.
Get out.
250 people died in that village. I know you felt for them, but you let them burn.
Not everyone. Not you.
Well, if you care about me, then trust me. Octavia's not a threat.
But yeah, so Bellamy and Clarke was a straight ship. Clarke and Lexa was a lesbian ship. I did not hate Clarke and Lexa, unlike a lot of Bellamy and Clarke shippers. I did not hate them. I don't think they had enough time to develop, in my opinion. I don't think we got enough content for me to like latch on. Whereas with Bellamy and Clarke, it was from season 1, episode 1, and I'd already started shipping them. And Clarke and Lexa felt like a love interest along the way to getting to the main love interest, who was Bellamy. That's what Lexa felt to me. That was not what Lexa felt like to a lot of the fandom. A lot of the fandom really latched on to Clarke and Lexa I would say, and also they latched on to Bellamy and Clarke in a very unhealthy way. These two ships were like opposites. You could not like both. You had to like one or the other one. It was like an actual war on Tumblr between the Bellarkes and the Clexas there for a minute. And it was really funny because the Clexas, in my opinion, once Lexa died, really didn't have anything to fight for because Lexa wasn't gonna come back from the dead. Like, this was not supernatural. She wasn't going to come back from the dead. So I was really confused as to what they were fighting for. But the one thing the Clexas wanted was to not have Bellamy and Clarke become canon, and they won. And I think it was a matter of which fandom was more angry and mad at the creators. The Bellarkes were mad that it never became canon. The Clexas were mad that Lexa died and desperately didn't want Clarke to be with a man. Because Clarke is bi. Like, she can fall in love with a man or a woman. It's totally cool either way. She's still bi. Like, she's a canonically bi character. But it just didn't make a lot of sense to me what exactly the Clexas were fighting for after Lexa died. But that's probably coming from a Bellarke gal. Oops, the bias is coming in. Anyways, I just wanted to talk about how I remember like going through Tumblr and I would be on the Bellarke tab and I'd like the farther down you get when you go to a tab, the less popular posts would pop up. So like at the beginning, it would be like the GIFs and you'd have the fun GIF of Bellamy putting his hand on Clarke's shoulder. Or Bellamy smiling to Clarke. We were really grasping for things in season 4, if I tell you correctly. That was my peak Tumblr within 100 days was season 4. We were really grasping for any content we could possibly grab from it. But the further down you scroll, the less popular posts like pop up. And as I had mentioned before, I had a bit of a Tumblr addiction, so I would actually legitimately scroll. Like, I would be on there for hours. And I never made any posts, because that's not who I am. I just like looking and reading and thinking about them. I don't want to interact with anyone. It's just not who I am on those platforms. The farther down you get, the more the Clexas and the Bellarke fight would come out. There would be a post made by a Clexa person talking about how bad Bellamy is for Clarke and how Clarke only loved Lexa, and it's really disrespectful to Lexa's memory if she gets with Bellamy, even though like Lexa had been dead for like 2 years by then. But it's just really disrespectful. She has to remain celibate. She can't be with anyone because that would be disrespectful to Lexa's memory. I mean, like, guys, like, she mourned Lexa. She did. I was there. I remember. But like, to be fair to Clarke and to the Bellarkes, me, Clarke had known Lexa for like a week, maybe 2 weeks. Like, it really hadn't been that long. And like, she's still, like, and Clarke used to draw, and she still draw Lexa and stuff like that. Like, Lexa wasn't a lost memory to her, but, like, she's allowed to move on. She's allowed to have other romantic relationships. Like, she's allowed to do that. She doesn't have to be celibate because her girlfriend of, like, 4 days died, like, years ago. I mean, like, guys, like, she just has to grieve and, like, move on. She doesn't have to keep holding vigil. I didn't get that. But also, like, to be fair, the Bellarkes were not nice to the Clexas sometimes. I didn't see them. I'm sure they weren't nice to the Clexas. But also, I want to talk about the drama that went down when the actors who played Clarke and Bellamy got married. What were their names? I can't remember their names. I'm so sorry. Anyways, when their actors got married, some of the Clexas seemed to believe that this was Bellamy and Clarke getting married and were angry that they dared to do so. It's like, girl, this is not... Bellamy and Clarke never got together. This is the actors. They're different people. I don't understand what that was about. There was like a whole thing. But also, to be fair, the Bellarkes now seem to think that because the actors got married, Bellarke would become canon. So there was a bunch of delusion going on either side. It was just a weird time. Like, the actors obviously had chemistry, and that's probably what a lot of the Bellarkes were picking up on. Like, the actors were in love. It makes sense why we would think that Bellamy and Clarke had really good chemistry. But, like, the actors getting married has nothing to do with the characters. Like, legitimately nothing. Like, actually less than nothing. It's the actors. So I don't understand why that caused controversy. And they were like, how dare they? To the actress who played Lexa. It's like, girl, the actress who played Lexa wasn't in love with the actress who played Clarke. It was the characters. I don't understand. I didn't get it. Also, Bellarkes, why did you think that this would mean that Clarke and Bellamy were going to be canon because the actors got married? That was a wild time. And then there was controversy. Like, the actor who played Bellamy, God, what was his... Their names are on the tip of my tongue. I can't remember their names. Oh, this is gonna bug me. The actor who played Bellamy, he had a girlfriend previously to dating the actress who married Clarke, and then I remember later on his girlfriend came out about how I think they had been cheating before they had officially gotten together. So then there was that whole drama that surrounded the Bellarkes, and I actually think that was the catalyst that made it so Bellarke was kind of faded. Because I actually think that a lot of people didn't want to ship Bellamy and Clarke because the actors were problematic. That doesn't make any sense because the actors and the characters are two separate things. I'll never really truly understand people like that. It's weird to me that people can't, like, separate an actor from a character, and I think that was one of the main problems with the Bellarke fandom near the very end, and with the Clexa family fandom near the very end. I mean, this has happened in so many different fandoms. Like, I remember the Anne with an E fandom was bullying the guy who played Gilbert, his actor's, like, girlfriend, because they wanted him to be with Amy Beth, who played Anne. It's like, no, Anne and Gilbert can get together. That's totally cool, and you can, like, totally ship them, but that doesn't mean that you ship the actors. It's different things. If the actor who plays Gilbert has a girlfriend in real life, that doesn't affect your ship. They're actors. So, like, it's not like these fandoms are the only ones to do that. So many fandoms do this. I mean, it's happened in the Supernatural fandom, where they ship the actors because they ship the characters, and it's like, no, those are two different things. It doesn't make a lot of sense. But in this case, surprisingly enough, the fandom got the opposite effect of what they actually wanted. The characters never became canon, but the actors did. And that's wild, isn't it? It's wild. I don't know why the Clexa fans were upset about that. That doesn't make any sense to me. If you were a Clexa fan, why were you upset that Bellamy and Clarke's actors got married? if you were one of the people that's, I'm sure not all Clexa's fans were upset. Like, obviously I'm talking about like the crazy minority, but like if you were part of the crazy minority and you somehow stumbled upon this video and you're like really angry at me because I'm clearly biased towards Bellarke, why were you mad? I feel like this is it was just such a weird, I don't really have a point to this. I just wanted to talk about it because it's such a weird phenomenon to be a part of, because I just feel like I don't understand why there had to be a rivalry, especially because Lexa was dead. Like, there was no reason for them to be fighting in season 4 when Lexa was dead. I just don't get it. Like, what were we fighting about? Like, why was I angry at the Clexas? I don't know. It was a weird time where, like, what were we fighting about? Like, I don't get it. Like, if you look back on it now, like, in the heat of the moment, you were like, yeah, fuck the Clexas. But, like, also, like, you look back at it now, you're like, but why? Why was it such a big deal? And, like, I remember, like, on Tumblr, the ship was so divided in the fandom that on Clexa's death day, the 100 would be trending for, like, #1 trending for Clexa. But then within, like, the same week, it would be trending #1 for Bellarke. It was wild. Like, the fandom was legitimately so divided between these two ships. And I'll never really understand why, because there should have been no, like, real conflict between the two, because they didn't conflict with each other. Clexa was just meant to be a stepping stone ship. And I do kind of wonder if Bellarke never became canon because the writers were scared of the Clexas. You know, like, I feel like they didn't think that this lesbian couple was going to be, like, the pillar of society in a moment, and that people would be really upset if Clarke ended up with a dude. So then they just, like, didn't do it. But also the writers were fucking with the Bellarkes the entire time. So, like, I don't know. It was very suspiciously Dean and Cass up in there, but, like, the opposite. They actually gave the gay, but they didn't give it straight. It was the exact opposite of what Supernatural did. And, like, as I said, I don't hate Clexa. I just want to make that clear. I'm not, like, mad that there was a lesbian relationship that was portrayed. I think that's awesome. Like, I understand why a lot of people who were probably, like, lesbian or bi really connected with that and really liked that Clarke was bi. That's, like, great. Like, that was really cool. Great representation, but that doesn't mean that the ship itself was going to be endgame. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay to, like, that representation was great. I don't really understand why Lexa had to die. I will agree with the point that Clexa's made. Why did Lexa have to die? It didn't make a lot of sense. Like, it was just, like, a weird thing to do. So I understand being mad about that for sure, but, like, what's done is done. You don't have to be mad that, like, she would move on, you know? Like, that's what I don't understand. You can absolutely be upset that Lexa died. I think that's really, like, shitty, especially because they had this lesbian relationship and then they immediately killed Lexa. Like, I completely agree with you on that front, even coming from someone who was a Bellamy and Clarke shipper, like, since day one, okay? Like, since season 1, episode 1. I wasn't gonna jump bandwagons, really. I'm a very loyal shipper, but, like, I didn't hate Clarke and Lexa, and I wouldn't have been upset if they had been in game, but, like, Lexa died for reasons unknown. So she's, like, gone, and so I don't know. I don't understand the beef. I really don't. I don't understand why we were fighting. Anyways, fun things to look back on. If you were a part of either the Bellarke or Clexa, let me know what you think. Do you look back on this time and also go, like, what the fuck were we doing? Like, why were we crazy about this? It doesn't make any logical sense why we were fighting. Like, there should have been no competition. It was just, like, two ships within a TV show. There should have been no conflict. It's like the people who fight about Marinette and Adrian being a ship and then Ladybug and Ken Wild being a ship, but they're the same fucking people. It's like the same idea. There should be no conflict. It doesn't make any sense. And yet, it exists. It's a weird phenomenon that really took over Tumblr there for a minute. I mean, that's wild, right? Like, that really took over Tumblr. Took over my Tumblr, at least. And I know, I remember seeing it trending. I do. I was on there like every day, and like I remember like the episode would come out and I'd go straight to Tumblr and I'd see all the gifs of what I had just saw, of the minute minutes they would give us of Bellamy and Clarke. And even like looking back on it now, like not being in the height of it, I'm gonna admit something as someone who like will probably still remain loyal to Bellarke till the very end. It wasn't a great ship. Like, it wasn't revolutionary. It didn't change the world of the shipping. It wasn't like, there's way better ships out there. Like, I don't know why I was ride or die for this. Like, I'll even admit it. It wasn't like the pinnacle of shipping. It was cute at times. I think they're really cute. But like, it wasn't like something that required the ferocity that was behind it. You know what I mean? Like, we could have used that energy for something else, you know? Oh my god, and then there was the Becco. Who remembers Becco? This is a side rant. Okay. Do you remember Bellamy and Echo? Okay, so like, in the break between seasons, I don't remember what seasons, but Clarke got left on Earth, and Bellamy and the rest of them went back up to the Ark, and Echo was a grounder, but she went up with them. I can't remember why. It's been a while since I've watched this show, and I haven't really thought about it too much. It just came to me a few days ago that I remember this randomness of what happened in that moment. But when Becco was a thing, oh my god, the Bellarkes versus the Beccos. And then I think the Beccos were kind of on, the Beccos and the Clexas were teamed up against the Bellarkes. Because the thing about Becco is that it actually made it so that the Clexas got what they want. Bellamy and Clarke would not get together because Bellamy would be with Echo. However, Becco was like actually such a bad ship. Like, the Clexas were just jumping on board because they were like, yeah, Bellamy can't be with Clarke now because he's with Echo. But like, that was such a bad ship. Like, that was like legitimately so lackluster. It came out of really nowhere. It was basically based on sex, which is like fine, but like, when you're shipping in a TV show, you want it to be more than sex because you as a viewer want to be emotionally attached to the ship, right? Like, it has to be more than sexual attraction at a certain point, because there's not much more you can do after they have sex for a viewer, because it's just them having sex. Like, you've reached the pinnacle and there's nothing more you can really do. So there was not a lot going on with Becco, if I remember correctly. Like, I don't know, but I was a Becco hater. Like, girl, Echo, leave my man Bellamy alone. He should be with Clarke. But I remember that was the peak moment where it was like, we were very much divided because the Beccos and the Clexas were really like making moves against the Bellarkes. And us poor Bellarkes were just so upset that Bellamy was with someone else. How dare he when he could be with Clarke. And I remember we were all really shited because we all felt that Bellamy and Clarke were probably gonna get together in the season before Clarke got left on Earth. And like, the hints had been made, and I think we all felt like if Bellamy had stayed on Earth with Clarke, or if Clarke had gone up to the Ark with them, they would have gotten together. And so we all felt really cheated because there was this 5-year time jump where it felt like they had come out different people, which makes complete sense. And then the shipping potential went down because they were like different people and had the same moral, like they just changed so much. There wasn't a lot there to ship anymore. And I think I remember that's kind of when I left it, because they changed the ship on us. Like, they changed who they were as people because of this huge time jump, and there'd been so much time between when they last seen each other, and like, it just felt like they weren't meant to be anymore, which is like so fucking shitty, because they probably would have fucked if they had just stayed together within that 5-year time jump. And so the Bellarkes felt really cheated, and it was really upsetting to the Bellarkes that the Beccos and the Clexas were really like coming at us when we were emotionally traumatized in that moment. I mean, I joke about it now, but I think I was actually pretty upset. I remember correctly. Oh man. Anyways, like, does anyone else remember this, or is this just the fever dream that lives within my head? Bellarke and Clexa has been something I've wanted to talk about for a while on this channel, just because I feel like it was such a defining moment in like a year of my life maybe like a year and a half, 2 years. But I just literally just left it in the dust. Like I moved on so quickly, but it was like, it held me for a while. It didn't hold me the way that some shows hold me, but it was more of like a silent hold. Like I feel like I didn't talk too much about it to other people, which is something that I usually do when I like something. So I wonder if I was embarrassed to talk about it. Like, my best friends who are watching this, can you tell me if I ever talked to you about Bellarke or Bellamy and Clarke at all? Because I was watching this while we were friends. I was like in knee deep in this, like way deep. Did I ever talk about it? I don't think I ever did. Like this was a moment and that I kept to myself. I think my mom probably knows because my mom used to watch shows with me because like that was her way to spend time with me. So she knows, because she would watch me watch the scenes and get really excited. Though I'm pretty sure she hated that show. She also hated Anne with an E, but watched it with me because she thought that I wanted to watch it with her, which is not true, but it's funny that she thought that that was the case and forced herself to watch it. Like that was a really wild like fandom to be in. And it was a really just weird shipping dynamic. Like in a lot of shows on Tumblr, ships really made that show. Like there wasn't a lot going for it beyond the ships. Like the plot was pretty lackluster come like season 4. So you were really there because you were fighting for your ship. Even though maybe one of the persons in your ship was dead, you were still fighting for your ship. You know, maybe one day I will rewatch the 100 and I'll get to the end of the 100 and then I'll do a Supernatural style series like I've done with Supernatural, where I go over everything about it, because I really think there's a lot there, and it was like a show that really transfixed me for a while. This is just has no point to it. I just wanted to remind everyone that this existed, and that if you were in this fandom, hi Crazy, how you doing? Crazy's also saying hi. What were we doing? I don't know. It was a moment. It's a whole thing. And then it kind of got ruined by the actors being cheaters, I think, and then also the show just being bad. The time jump really ruined the show. They should have just ended it there, you know what I mean? If this video does well, I might do my 100 idea and go back and watch it the way that I did Supernatural. If this video doesn't do well, then maybe I'll just let that idea go and just have fun having gotten to remember a good part of my past like I did with Brandon and Callie. It was kind of the same deal with Brandon and Callie, which is interesting. But I think Brandon and Callie had a lot more going for it than Bellamy and Clarke. And Brandon and Callie really transfixed me longer. And Brandon and Callie actually became canon multiple times. Whereas Bellamy and Clarke, the most we got was a fucking like hug. I think like maybe once or twice. And then that shoulder touch. Which if you know the gif I'm talking about, I watched that gif maybe like 1 billion times. I was very transfixed by the gif. It was a whole moment. Like, do you remember when it came on in the trailer? And the Bellarkes were all like, oh my god, something's gonna happen, something's gonna happen. Oh my god, like, oh, he touched her shoulder, that means they're gonna like fuck. And we were wrong. But if I remember correctly, it was a cute scene. He touched her shoulder. Were there any Finn and Clarke shippers out there who like hang on to the very end and were also mad at the Bellarkes? Probably. You probably joined the Clexas, I'm assuming. Oh no, you wouldn't have. Who would you have joined? The Beckos? You would have joined the Beckos. Oh, okay. Anyways, that is all. Thanks for watching. Bye.